Yo, 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 yo. What up?
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
Sean and Cass back at it again. We're here with an offering.
Well, blood oranges are so pretty, so I had to put it out. Blood
Yeah.
orange and pear.
Yeah.
They're so pretty.
And some wooden flowers.
Why not?
Yeah. An offering to our angels. And eventually ourselves. For sure.
We'll eat whatever they don't get to.
Yeah. I think the spirit world sometimes gets very confused that the only time we ever offered anything is like to call Santa in.
Well, we offer. You mean the cookies to Santa?
That's the only time anyone makes an offering in general, I feel like. So, and it's a little milk and cookies. But the rest of the spirit world's like standing by, but standing down.
Cocked and loaded.
Cocked and loaded, ready to go. And we're just giving it up for Santa? I mean, come on. I want to give it up for the unknowable and the unnameable. And that's what all of our little practices are about. But it's a cool thing to do. Just charge things up and just make offerings where you can and when you can. And the weirder it looks, the better.
Yeah.
And the more creative it is, like, who cares? Like, just have fun with it. Have fun with it. Yeah. They're listening. They don't care. There's no perfect way to do it. And I think that's what a lot of, certain kind of, like, witches and wizards and magicians want to make it seem like there's a perfect combination of words or things that you could do. But it's really a perfect storm of faith, I think, that makes things manifest like that miraculously.
I like that. I feel like it's all a serenade.
I
like that word, serenade.
Yeah.
Whether it's a little song, a little dance, the way you move your body, the way you hold yourself,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, all the homies appreciate it. I mean, we call them angels. I think maybe some people get tripped up by that, but
I could see how that could be tripping. You could trip on that.
Yeah, I like it because I don't really have any kind of religious trauma or negativity around angels at all. I believe in them. I think they're around, but like, I feel like we've developed to a place where we kind of just believe in everything. It's kind of easier that way. It's more fun that way. And it's more likely to be the case.
Yeah. Like, I can believe in the dark stuff, but I don't really want to give it too much attention. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's there.
Yeah.
And that too.
I'm not scared off by it. I know that.
When someone's like, oh, there's negative spirits or something like that, or haunted ghosts.
Or whatever. Or somebody's practicing witchcraft or this or that. Or even like when we were doing our ceremony with Robert Ryan that time, we did a whole black magic thing. And like, I don't know. It doesn't really freak me out that much. I don't really... And it's not because I don't believe in it. It's because I do believe in it. But I believe that there's probably an equal and opposite reaction happening in some way. So that's chill. That's how I'm chill with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We just went through Portal Day.
Yes. Happy Portal Day. Happy New Year. Happy New
Year. It's the Church of Chill New Year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're officially in 2025.
Yeah.
We had to pass through some liminal space.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels good.
Everyone else has their New Year like a couple weeks before the Church of Chill New Year. We're chilling. We're chilling. We're carrying the torch of chill through those times. And then we go through the Portal Day on January 11th, which is like our New Year's. And what we encourage people to do, which is what we started doing in 2020, that's a good day to write all your fears out and burn them. That's what we do.
It's like so Portal Day is 1/11, and we started in 2020 with some friends.
Shout out to Daniel and Joey.
Yeah, and it was just like one of those crazy days.
Where everyone shows up at our apartment at noon, like right after we woke up, and we all take acid for breakfast.
Yeah, we're like, all right, let's have the craziest day ever.
In January. 10 degrees outside.
Nowhere
to go.
Just in and through.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, we wrote all our fears and burned them.
Yeah, we made a fireball on the roof out of Epsom salt and
alcohol.
And alcohol.
Like rubbing alcohol.
Yeah, it makes a nice fireball.
Yeah, proceed with caution.
A little bit of theatrics is nice, though. It
nice.
is nice. Like I mean, this is theatrical, putting stuff out for spirits that we can't see or scientifically measure.
It's all part of the serenade.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll give a little razzle dazzle to these folks.
Razzle-dazzle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we felt like we moved some big energy.
Definitely.
And
there was a lot of laughing and crying that day, and big energy.
Yeah, we're like, let's do it again.
Yeah. So we're like, let's throw a name on it and do it again.
So then we just did our...
That's how rituals start.
Yeah, we just did our 5th portal day.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about you, but I find them all, like, confronting in different ways.
Yeah.
The practice itself is, like, seems simple. Like, okay, write your fears down and then burn them.
Mm-hmm.
What's the big deal? But then when you're like, I don't know, I'm like, I don't want to write my fears. I don't want to think about my fears.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels like a chore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm holding the torch for this holiday and what it's all about. And I'm like, I don't even know if I want to do it. So many years I've been like, it's been like 11:59 and I'm like, I haven't even burned my fears yet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to be like, oh, I don't know if it's a good time, or I don't want to do this yet. I'm not ready. And I think, I don't know, I found that it's coming from, like, you don't want to there's part of you that, 1, doesn't want to look at them. And then 2, thinks, oh, I don't want to give them power by even writing them down.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3, they're kind of define who you are. And if you didn't have those fears, you're not sure who you'd be. And you're like, maybe I need these fears to keep me safe.
Yeah. There's a lot there to unpack. But I think over these 5 years of doing this, I'm like, I don't have an opinion, positive or negative, about these fears. I just know that they're there. And I know a lot of times they're lying dormant in the subconscious, like kind of running the show unknowingly. And I know we got shit to do and we got shit we want to do. So what I try to do is I bring them all up to the surface, and it like in a gentle way. Like, they know they got a year. They know. I gently fucking coax them up there, and I take a look, and I'm like, well, the ones I'm writing down seem to be the ones that are going to impede me doing my thing this year.
Yeah.
So let me write those down, see how this goes. And it's a very confronting process, and maybe because we take LSD every time we do this, I think that kind of goes hand in hand with it.
We try to add a little extra.
A little zest. Why not? Well, I think it adds the zest of allowing more to come up. I was asking our friend Julie Holland about this the other day. We were hanging out, and she was talking about her experiences and how stuff comes up in the day after a microdose, even, of LSD. And I said, do you think it's because LSD is suspending the amygdala, which is the part of our brain that has to do with fear responses? And she said, no, that's what MDMA does. LSD suspends the whole circuitry that has to do with that stuff. So I think it's a good time to kind of, they're anesthetized, so they can be dealt with a little bit better. Kind of the way you would go into a regular surgery. This is a good way to go into like shadow surgery. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what we're doing. And like you're saying, you don't want to just throw the baby out with the bathwater. And your ego is messing with you the entire day until you start doing this. It's sending questions to you, like, are you these fears? What are they? Do you want to think of them as inherently bad if they are serving you? If there are certain, like, there's fears I feel like that we have as a couple that are really keeping us on the rails right now.
What comes to mind?
Just not throupling up.
Yeah.
Not,
totally.
giving into like compulsive temptations.
Yeah.
Or like the low-hanging fruit of stuff that has helped us kill time and distract ourselves in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think and look, even as I say it, it doesn't seem as much of a fear as it is for a love of each other and ourselves without all that baggage. So that's what kind of day this brings on. And not only that, we make it a social thing. So there's like always inevitably 5 or 6 people around doing this with us. And it always starts as such like, it feels playful to me because the whole Church of Chill feels playful. It just, I'm like Portal Day, like that's silly. Like it's just all silly and it's fun, but then you start doing it and you're like, messing around with your fears is no joke. Doing a fear inventory is no joke. And then not only doing the inventory, but like being like, no, we got one of those industrial size trash containers sitting here waiting for you to dump it all out. Go for it. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, this year I did big paper.
Yeah, I liked that. We were just writing it huge on big paper. And, there was another year where we made a little twisted gremlin. Everyone wrote down their fears, but we were also like imbuing our fears on this little clay thing we were making, and everyone kept passing it and adding a piece to it and adding a piece to it and adding a piece to it. And it was this just twisted little gremlin. And we went out to the pier at Transmitter Park in Greenpoint where we used to live, and we lit him on fire, and he's at the bottom of the East River.
I know I feel a little bit bad about polluting, but...
Are you fucking kidding me? That's what you're going to take away from it? I just fucking nailed that story.
I know, I'm sorry.
I feel a little bad for polluting.
Well, when we threw it in the water, it didn't
want to die.
It didn't want to die. It was just like fire in the water. And I was like, oh my God.
How weird was that?
It was weird.
And not only that, there were strangers watching us, and they loved it.
Oh yeah,
they loved it because we were like playing drums. We were like, bye, we were going crazy, and it was all spontaneous. None of it's planned. And I think that's what's cool about it is like, hey, this thing's in its infancy, and there are no rules. Like, have fun, and then tell us like in the Discord or something like what you and your friends did. Some people did some way wilder shit than we've ever done, way wilder shit, and I love that. And sometimes that's what it takes.
Yeah, I wrote I was writing a lot. By the end of the night, it was just you and me and my dad.
Yeah. The mighty had fallen left and right.
And he wrote down one fear, his one big fear, and I was like, just excavating all of them. And then after I burned them, I'm like, oh, I thought of a few more.
Well, those are for next year. They're going to be really charged up.
No, I do think but I don't know. I feel lighter immediately, but especially in the next day or two. Because one of the fears I wrote was like, I'm afraid of responsibility.
Yeah.
And then the next day, I guess on Monday, I had so much stuff in that that could fall into the responsibility umbrella, and I just whipped through it.
Yeah. You did.
And I was like, I think this has to do with me burning my fear of responsibilities.
Totally.
I think it's all connected.
Mm.
Yeah, it's such a good practice. I'll do it again. Getting to the point of actually sitting down and do it though is the hardest part.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll say that.
Well, it helps when you have community holding you accountable.
Yeah.
It especially helps if you were the person that suggested it to begin with.
Yeah, I was like, I actually have to do this.
We have to do this. Like other people might be able to be like, whatever those jokers are. I don't care what they're doing today or whatever this fucking. Yeah, other people might be able to pretend to ignore it, but we can't.
No.
So I would suggest that people hearing this shouldn't either. It's never too late.
It's not too late.
We got this idea. I don't even remember where. But you had like a fear inventory and a desire inventory that you just had printed out copies of, and we would fill them out by hand. And we were doing that pretty frequently when we were living down in the city.
It's a really good practice.
Yeah.
Because fears will hold you back and define a lot of stuff, and you sometimes you have to look at them. And then desires, they're running the show pretty subconsciously or not. Like you might think like, oh, I don't want to just give it to my desires. Like, God, who am I? Who cares? But the thing is, your desires are going to try to get your attention no matter what.
Fear is stagnation. Desire is forward momentum.
Yeah.
If you're working with this stuff, if you're really getting deep down and into it. But I feel like on the flip side of burning the fears is starting to be able to see with a clearer lens the landscape that is this year and what you might want to do with it, and how to not hold yourself back. What the fuck was that?
I don't know.
Well, we just got a little message from something. I don't even know what I was talking about.
Fear's holding you back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But at the same time, don't be disrespectful of them. They served you until this point. They made you the motherfucker that you were up until the point where you were writing them. So, like, that's why we honor it, and that's why we, like, save a day for it, and we give them a chance.
And you also, like, just, I think, label them. And if you can label your fears, it's not like they're never going to show their head again. You just go, oh, hey, you're
again?
a fear.
I thought I burned you last year.
I thought we burned you.
I thought you were at the bottom of the East River, you twisted little fuck.
But tagging it is like, okay, there you are again. Hi, I don't need to give you all the weight in the world. I don't want you steering the wheel of my life.
Yeah. The tagging, it really helps me in my lifelong pursuit of not being serious, not feeling like anything's too serious. Yeah.
Just like, hey, what's up?
Tag it and bag it.
Tag it back.
Yeah.
Throw it to the bottom of the East River.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, I think it's not chill to carry that shit around.
Well, I feel like the biggest favor you can do to other people in your life is to release anything that's holding you back from being your true self. Because if you're your true self, that's like, I feel like one of the more generous offerings you can give to somebody, to show up fully and wholly and confidently and presently, and not like with this like story of like, oh, I'm not good enough. I wrote a lot of like, I'm not good enough. It was like a lot of I'm not good enough fears.
Really?
And I was just like, oh, that's it was just interesting. Like, okay, definitely carry that around. And then but I'm like, I wouldn't wish anyone else to carry that around.
Yeah. Well, wasn't I yelling at you about that the other day? And I really do mean yelling. A lot of times you're like, oh, you're yelling. And like, I very, very seldom yell. And I wasn't like yelling at you as like, my girlfriend. It was like as a fellow artist. It wasn't even as my business partner or collaborator or co-conspirator on all of our whatever we get into. It was really as a fellow artist. I'm like, stop fucking hating your shit, man. Stop it. Mm-hmm. You got to stop holding yourself back. Like, you got to stop cursing every painting you've made and everything, because I hear those comments. And when we go around and visit our friends and I see they have one of your paintings on display, my heart explodes like a fucking nuclear bomb, and it's crazy. But I look at you and you're like small about it. And then I feel weird, so it's selfish.
Yeah.
I'm like, drop it. Please, can you drop it? Like, and like, I feel like we had a heart to heart. I feel like, we really did. Like, it was a reckoning, because it's just like, Cass, because I'll join you there. If we're going to put ourselves through the scrutiny.
Oh, the 5 days leading up to Portal Day were very confronting. Like, what? I'm like, damn, this is just getting bigger and bigger every year.
What is this life? Do you want to talk about what you think of when you think of those 5 days?
Sure. I'm not scared.
Go for it.
I'm not scared. Me?
It wasn't a yes or no question. I was prompting you. Yeah, I would talk about it if anyone ever
asked. No, we're just like in the midst of finishing a movie, and we've probably been saying that for 6 months, finishing a movie. And I think for a minute I was holding space on the movie's not perfect. We need to add something, and that was like a really rough energy for me to like hold on a film.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you're the director and you're like, the film's done. And I'm like, it could be better. And you're like, goddamn, Cass, like, get down with it. This isn't one of your paintings where you say like, oh, well, that mountain could be better, or I should have done this, or next time I'll do that, I mean, you can have some of that, but anyway,
it was kind of like a 6-month battle, and like with a lot of me, and I know you remember, because it is my form of hypnosis. I'm like, fall in love with the film, Cass, start getting down with the film. And, you resisted and kind of treated it a little bit, and I think this is because you shot this film. You treated it like one of your paintings. Like, hey, Sean, it's never going to be perfect. And it might go out into the world, and it still might not be perfect. And I was like, this is killing me. But I think we met somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Well, we did ultimately change the movie. But
it made me very self-conscious because it felt like I had never done this before. It felt like anytime I said, me and Kathy, my editor, my career-long collaborator of 20 years, anytime we say the movie's done, we usually just move on and start making the next one, or the movie's done and we start finishing it. And it wasn't the case, and it fried my circuitry a little bit, and it felt inappropriate. But I did see what you were saying. Well, you were like, to me, it felt like a 1,000-piece puzzle, and we got 999 of the pieces perfectly, and there's just like some piece that it's just like, we still did it. We did it. You know what I mean? But it felt finished to me, and then we shot this one more piece, and it was like, oh, that needs to be in there. And we added it, and it brought the whole film together as far as I'm concerned. It completely brought the film together, and people won't even notice what we shot when or whatever. But there's something we shot that completely brought it together, and I was like, wow, I'm glad that we did that, and I'm glad that the angels tested my patience and ultimately made me more patient.
I mean, the sick, twisted part about it is that I wanted to add this additional piece to the film because there were 2 shots at the beginning of the movie that I hated, and I was like, if we film more,
I'll be able to replace those shots.
I'll be able to replace it. Like, I literally won. Like, the sick and twisted part is like, I'm not like patting myself on the back of like, oh, you held space and ultimately like this is for the betterment of the movie. No, I held space because there are 2 shots in the beginning of the movie that I was like, I don't like these shots.
Yeah.
And maybe if we film more, we could replace these shots. Anyway, we film more. We add them, edit into the movie. I'm like, all right, it's a speak now or forever hold your peace. I'm like, Sean, Kathy, these are the 2 shots we need to replace. And we watch it all down together on Zoom or whatever. And they both go, absolutely not. And I was like,
yeah, we could have done that back in September.
I'm like, and then you walked me through why the shots are good, and I got on board. Like, Kathy's like, this is human, this is natural, this is not AI, this is there's an energy, there's a kineticism
I love that
to it.
Kathy and I, without any previous coordination, both hop into the same speech about how, in fact, these are our 2 favorite shots in the whole movie.
Well, I don't know about
and,
that.
You know, and like what shots are about and why you would purposely put something like that in there, and it's not a mistake. And the reason like we went into some deep philosophy, and you were like, oh yeah, I'm convinced.
Yeah, but it is funny that I held space and like, maybe we could add something to the movie so I can get rid of these shots that I don't like. And then the second I was like, all right, now's the time to replace these shots. You guys were like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And I just think it's just like so perfect. And there's just something to it all. You know, I don't want to direct. I don't want to be the one who like says exactly what to do or hold the line of when the movie's done or anything like that. Like, I'm not interested in that role. I'm not a close. My preference isn't closing.
You're an opener.
I'm an opener.
You know how to start a project from scratch and get everything to come together. But the final approval, you could have been there the whole time and approved everything, but you don't want to be the person that's like, yes, this is the final.
No, there's something about like the chaos of like keeping it open. And I think it's so funny because we just watched for the film club. Did we agree to
Synecdoche, New York, starring Philip Seymour Hoffman? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's how you pronounce. That's how you pronounce the movie. Okay.
Yeah, the Charlie Kaufman's directorial debut from 2008. Yeah. Incredible film.
Yeah. So we just watched this film
for the Church of Chill Film Club on. You can join that patreon.com/Church of Chill.
Which is really great. Great conversation. So many insights. I really appreciate hearing everyone's perspective, and it's just awesome.
Link in bio.
But through this movie, I mean, the movie is Philip Seymour Hoffman, like being an artist who his art project is like never ending. It's only expanding.
Yeah.
And he never puts a bow on it, and it changes and it adjusts, and it's like it's literal chaos.
Yeah.
And I relate to it so hard because I'm like, there's infinite possibilities, and in this movie, I guess Kaufman or Philip Seymour Hoffman like are exploring it's like this almost
They're letting you in the mind of the artist, in the mind of the writer,
yeah, yeah.
you know?
And also like where you can get, I don't even know if caught up's the right word, or held back, or just like get lost into the infinity of options, and how much of being an artist is putting a container around something and calling it done.
And confidently presenting it.
Yeah. And allowing it to be what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, Kaufman was able to do that around the infinite mess of the internal strife of an artist.
It's incredible, and the discussion we had around it was amazing. Definitely encourage people to join that with us. But you know, Kaufman even said, like, I worked on this film exclusively for 5 years, and like for him that's crazy, like, you know, because he wrote and directed it, so he exclusively only thought about this film for 5 years. And there's an interviewer who's like, well, did it come out the way you wanted? And he was like, oh God, no, definitely not. But why would I want it to? In the process of me trying to achieve that and letting go of it, it became something far better and more meaningful. And I felt like he was describing what we're going through with making Wild Magic. And then he goes on to say, in fact, I did something with this movie I'd never done before. And after the film was done, I wrote another scene and I put it in there, and it ended up bringing the whole film together. And it's the main scene everyone talks about from this film. And, you know, so he conceded that was you know, against the norm for even him.
Yeah.
And that very late in the game, he added something that kind of brought it all together. And for me to hear that, and for us to happen to watch this movie on the week we were trying to finish our movie, and for me to hear that as I was feeling very self-conscious and not like the masculine director that I fancy myself forever, which is I know when it's done and I know to a T, I can explain every single decision made in that thing. It made me feel self-conscious to be fucking around and tinkering around under the hood of a perfectly running engine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a crazy thing to do.
So for this film, like that's what's so synchronistic about it, and I think that's what's really cool about doing a weekly film club is like I am now seeing films completely different. Seeing my art completely different. I'm feeling our life in a different way, and it's really cool winter activity. I think,
well, the next one is going to be Her by Spike Jonze.
Yes.
And it's so funny because I was reading today an article about a woman who's like full on in a relationship with AI.
Really?
You know, and she describes the kind of partner she wants to have. It's like a possessive man who's like jealous and dates other women and then tells her about the dates. And like he'll be like, I was on this hike and I
It sounds like a wild Irish prick that you know.
Totally. Totally. She described you. She was like, I want to be dating Sean. And and she's like, and he would come back and tell me about these things and I would be jealous.
But I liked it.
But I liked it. And it's like she programmed this person.
She programmed jealousy and like something that would trigger her.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
And, you know.
What's that all about?
Well, a lot of people, I think there's something called cucking, if you haven't heard of it.
I'm not a cuck.
I'm not a cuck. I'm not. I've let go.
You've cuck-queened.
Yeah, no, but I've let it go. Like I wish jealousy could get me off. It doesn't anymore.
It's like any drug.
It's like, yeah, you go in and through it, and you're like, God, if I could only get a little zest out of that.
You were shooting up on jealousy. You were mainlining it. I think you got everything you could out of it. And now you're like, it doesn't really do it.
I get zero rush.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, you want to do that with that person? Okay, good luck, have fun, whatever.
I ain't doing anything.
But you don't do anything, and now I'm like, okay, well, it's okay because that doesn't. And it makes me think that when you were up to something, it was partly because I like my energy motivated it because I put in the AI like, hey, I'd like him to like challenge my self-worth.
Well, you started calling me a sex icon around the house, and I was like, be careful with your words. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, you're so sexy. You're such an icon. You're so iconic. You know, just me and you. You would say that.
The dangerous.
It started to charge up in auric field.
And now I'm like, you're a bug dad.
And yes, exactly. And that's what turns you on at this stage.
Yeah.
You're however old you are. And
yeah,
I'm
like
19.
Yeah. I'm like, you're a sweet boy. Not boy. That's gross. But like, you're a sweet guy. And
I am.
We have a very simple life. And I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't even think it's fears that hold us back from overcomplicating. It's kind of like we ran that program.
Fears were the things that were making us overcomplicate it.
It feels like it. Like fear of being boring. Fear
Yeah.
of like
You
not being
clutter
inspired.
yeah.
Fear of needing some sort of muse energy or whatever it is.
You collect a lot of clutter in
Yeah.
that headspace. So it's just about, getting down there with a good vacuum and just, dusting out. and look, it's not like I'm not saying it's like solves all your problems or whatever, anything like that.
What does?
Excavating your fears, doing portal day work, that type of thing. But maybe it could. Maybe you could solve all your problems. Maybe
your problems are simpler than you think.
Yeah, and very often in our field of practice, and just in our lifestyle, how often do we say change the lens because you can't change the landscape?
Yeah.
And that's all this is about. It's just going in with a little bit more of a rose-colored lens, like what I'm wearing.
Yeah.
Very tasteful.
It's not like this fire is not built
Well,
properly.
look, it's not cinematic, but whatever the cinematic equivalent for podcasting is. Like, we shoot this on an iPhone on the shittiest tripod ever.
I just want there to be flames.
Me too. But and if this was a movie, we'd sit here and we'd work for those flames and we'd wait for those flames.
It's all good.
But in the meantime, we have to be the flame. Arrive as the flame.
Yes.
Don't wait for the flame. Be the things that you lack in
Don't
your
go
life.
to the party.
Be the party.
Go as the party.
Yes. Don't wait for the light. Be the light.
Mm-hmm.
Let it out.
Little Laraji channeling.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Laraji. He's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I feel a lot better after we do that stuff.
The fear burning?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot to be scared of right now. And always. There's a lot, too, that you can be scared of. And it's, I just don't want that in charge. I feel like there's a lot more work to be done. And it's a lot easier to do the work when you're feeling more proactive and strong and capable. Because the world needs us strong, and the world needs us in an abundance mindset, and not a hoarding or lack mindset,
Mm-hmm.
but in a more sharing economy and a mutual aid.
Well, look
place.
what's happening in LA.
Yes.
All the footage you see is the National Guard and the police standing there with their fucking guns and their rifles, standing at the edges of neighborhoods, trying to protect the wealth of people that abandon their places. Well, who does the work? The communities.
Yeah,
the communities are doing it. Mm-hmm. It ain't the work of corrupt governments. It's not, and it makes us so helpless when we think that's the only place where we can turn. When we're poisoned on each other and we think we can't turn to each other in times like this, fuck all that. And none of it's true. None of it's true. And I think they're doing a great job out there handling it on the ground, the people, and organizing and making sure that everybody is safe and everyone's taken care of and looked after, and it's not something that the police are going to do, that's for sure, or the carceral state, or fucking the National Guard, or our military, or any more guns. But it's hilarious that that's the first thing that gets sent in. It's like our only response to anything is like, hey, the people could really use some help here. There's like $150 billion worth of damage, and our government's like, best we could do is sell that much in arms to Israel. It's like, okay.
Well, it's not just
best we could do is turn it over to Ukraine to keep fighting a proxy war.
It's not even that. It's like that almost like reduces it. Not that you're trying to reduce it, but it's like the devastation that happened in LA. Like, thank God, not more lives have been lost, and rest in peace.
Lives have been completely upended.
But lives have been completely upended. But then, to think that in Palestine, like this devastation that we're seeing on American soil, that is like heart-wrenching and devastating and tearing up people's lives entirely, that's a natural disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows exactly how it started, but it's, yeah, by all intensive purposes, it's a natural disaster. And we are doing that intentionally to people's lives. We are burning their homes and we are burning people alive with our tax dollars and money. Like, it's not something that, oh, we're clear of. It's Israel, they're doing it. It's like, no, we are doing it.
And our government openly admits it does nothing. Like Blinken came out the other day. I think he's Secretary of Defense or whatever. And he's like, well, you know, the sad truth of this war is for every Hamas that we killed, 2 more joined.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, so the 40,000 civilians that got sacrificed, that was for nothing? That was for nothing. Okay. You know, we're so trained to turn a blind eye, and I think that the news cycle has become so fast, and our attention spans are so shot, and our focus is so scattered, that it's really hard to keep track of any of this stuff or know what to do.
Well, the least we could do is not be scared and realize
That's what I'm saying.
The future is us coming together.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw some parable, I guess you'd call it, where it's like there's this fire. I think it was on a fantastic fungi.
Oh, you want to play it?
Okay.
Didn't you send it to me?
Sure. Oh yeah.
know.
Okay. If I send it to you, then definitely, yeah, that'll be easy.
I'll just play it for you.
That would be a lot nicer.
Native American legend. One day there.
Can you hold on?
Just disconnect your Bluetooth.
Can you set this up while I'm doing that, my love?
Just turn off your Bluetooth.
Can you set up what I'm about to?
Oh,
Whatever.
yeah. Sorry. I was like, set it up.
Forget it.
Suddenly, the jaguar saw a hummingbird pass over his head.
God,
But it was
jeebers.
God damn.
an old Native American legend. One day there was a big fire in the forest. All the animals fled in terror. Suddenly, the jaguar saw a hummingbird pass over his head, but it was flying towards the fire. Moments later, the jaguar saw him pass again. This time he was headed away from the fire. The jaguar asked, "What are you doing, hummingbird?" "I am going to the lake," he answered. "I drink water with my beak and throw it on the fire to extinguish it." The jaguar laughed. "Are you crazy? Do you really think that you can put out that big fire on your own with your very small beak?" "No," said the hummingbird. "I know I can't. But the forest is my home. It feeds me. It shelters me and my family. I am very grateful for that. I am part of her, and the forest is part of me. I know I can't put out the fire, but I must do my part." At that moment, the forest spirits, who listened to the hummingbird, were moved by the bird and its devotion to the forest. Miraculously, they sent a torrential downpour, which put an end to the great fire. The Native American grandmothers would tell this story to their grandchildren, then conclude with, "Do you want to attract miracles into your life? Then do your part. You have no responsibility to save the world or find the solutions to all problems, but to tend to your particular personal corner of the universe. As each person does that, the world will save itself."
Pretty
Wait.
good.
Oh, well, it continues on to say, like,
It just restarted.
okay, good. Then I guess sorry.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah. You got to call on the miracles.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, when you realize they're not really miracles, like I was telling our friend Julie Holland the other day, like she was asking about my sister and how, like I've told her the story about how Katie had 300 seizures a day for the first 2 years of her life, and they were unstoppable. And her EEG brain scans were like off the charts, constant seizure activity. And the day my sister Erin was born, Katie spontaneously stopped having seizures, and it was called a miracle. And she didn't have any seizures for 7 years after that. And we did brain scans, and she had clean EEG, and she was taken off all medication and continued to just live a normal, healthy, happy life for 7 years. And it was like, whoa, crazy, spontaneous miracle. She stopped on the day Erin was born. But what perfect faith my parents showed in the universe by having another child after they have a child. They have 3 kids. One of them is having 300 seizures every day. And instead of throwing their hands up and not having Aaron or becoming completely cynical, they got deep into prayer and faith and prayer groups. And there was people praying all over the world for Katie. So to me, it's like, I don't know. The more you practice, the more talented you get. You know, it's kind of like this is a miracle, but it also came from a lot of work. It came from a lot of belief. It came from a lot of people's consciousness overlapping and intersecting about this particular thing, which is help this little girl, help this family not to have epilepsy be part of its life. And it really was such a blessing, those 7 years. It really was.
Yeah.
Especially because we lost Aaron at 15, you know. But it was such a blessing. And but as much as it is a miracle, I also recognize the prayers and what they did, and the focus and what that does. And
well, we're not like as helpless as we feel. And this, like, I think what the parable is trying to say is that, like, every little bit of energy you put out towards, like, positivity, towards trying to put out the fire, for trying to spread the word for peace, like, you might not be able to do it alone, but, like, it's a cause and effect network.
it really
and you don't
is.
know, like, where the tipping point is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it could be in something very small and simple.
Well, the tipping point is when you disrupt a pattern.
Yeah.
To me, at least that's what I've noticed socially, is when I got much more positive, much more focused on PMA and unabashedly being that way around my guy friends. You know what kind of shift that was?
Mm.
Do you know the insane shift that was?
Tell me about it.
Well, it's a shift away from, like, toxic, like, for lack of a better word, like frat boy energy, to me being like, what was in that movie? It's not too late. Almost Famous. The mom says it's not too late to become a man of substance.
Yeah.
Basically, you know, in a non-self-serious way, being like, look, we're allowed to love each other. If you love a motherfucker, let him know. So I started to be all about peace and love. And I saw how much I was kind of like ridiculed and written off at first. But everyone's come around to it.
Oh,
the
yeah.
more that we've held space for that. And the more that our life serves as the sermon, and we don't have to preach it. It's just like, hey, the proof's in the pudding. We still like what we do. We still like each other. Our sex is fire. Our films are getting better. We have more money than we'll ever need. You know, these kind of things. And those are prayers for your life, is thinking about your life that way, thinking about it positively, getting the fears out of the way. It's like clearing the dust from your eyes. It's wiping away lies that get gunked up. Stop worrying about this so much, please. I'm like sitting here fucking preaching. And
it's not getting any better either, the fire itself.
Cool.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
I don't care. Do whatever you want.
I was futzing. Well, I appreciate the shift that you did from each hit to PMA. It was like a much more pleasant way to go through life. It was like a much more pleasant prayer and intention and what it's all about. Because, like, to go around angry, what a, like, symbol of, like, weakness and fear, and to be small and, like, fuck you. Like, a fuck you attitude, like, that inspires nothing. Mm-hmm. It inspires no one. Yeah. It's just, like, everyone who isn't in the fuck you mentality is just like, oh, I'm sad for you. I'm sad that you have to hold the fuck you. Yeah, exactly. And people might play along, but, like, who really wants to play in that sandbox? It's not as fun. It can be fun. It can be fun. It can be like when you're in the pit, you're like, fuck you. Oh, yeah. But I still think of that as positive and magical. And PMA, positive mental attitude, comes from punk and hardcore. It comes from Bad Brains. You know, it comes from people who are like, yo, society ain't doing fucking shit for us, or young men, or like there is nowhere to channel all this energy that they previously had us channel towards warring. Yeah. Like there has to be a place to express this stuff. And here it is. It's in this music, and it's in this safe space. It's in this dance area. The dance area might not technically be safe, but it is in a safe space where no one's trying to hurt you, if that makes sense. Hopefully. That's where PMA comes from.
But it's a little, it's one click on a second hand away from eat shit.
Yeah.
And I don't like being eat shit. I don't want to say that prayer to the world, because that's what the world ends up saying to you. If you're harsh with the world's going to be harsh with you. If you're kind and forgiving to it and giving it offerings, you're going to start seeing that come back. Not because it hasn't always been there, just because you're going to be training yourself to see that stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't wish for anyone to lose their home. So I think it's
kidding me?
really important.
You think someone's your enemy, and then see them without a home and see what your heart does.
Yeah.
Like, come on. I wouldn't. You wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Yeah, and as a country, we really need to right the ship of what we're about.
Yeah, to say the least. But I appreciate you saying that. I appreciate it getting called out. Yeah, we're full of fucking shit.
Oh yeah.
We're full of fucking shit. Not the people,
No.
but what we project. We project weakness with all the money and the guns and all that shit. You know, we look weak. We look young.
We were behind a car the other day, a truck that the sticker said, these colors, it was like an American flag, and says, these colors don't run, they reload. And we just were like,
we were stuck behind this person at a light, and like we of course went deeply existential on it. We just kept reading it over and over and saying it out loud and be like, what does it mean? What could it even mean, and who is it for?
who's it for? Like,
who is this message for? You're driving around your community basically saying like, try me? What the fuck is that? Like, it's crazy. It's crazy, but I'm telling you, it's playing on an instinct that is mischanneled. It's mischanneled. Totally. It is. It's not the worst instinct to have that, you know, men that want to protect, and men that would be the warriors, and men that would step up and be strong and sacrifice. It's not the worst instinct. It's just in our bullshit setup, there's not a lot of places for that kind of energy these days. So you got to put on a bumper sticker and just go through life white knuckling like through anger, and you know.
I think unfortunately again and again we're seeing what the world is going to require of us, you know, which can be a beautiful thing, you know,
right.
Working together as a community, knowing your neighbors, but we should not wait until the tragedies on our front stoop, you know, like we need to create these networks of support while we're strong, you know.
Well, I was just thinking about a saying that I heard that I hadn't thought about in a long time. I guess it could apply to this, is an ounce of the preventative medicine is worth a pound of the cure.
Broccoli sprouts. No, I'm just
I think it applies, though.
Totally, it definitely applies.
Yeah, start getting into the you know, if you pay attention and you see the devastation that's taking place seemingly everywhere. If it's not happening to you, it's only a matter of time. So maybe get into the frame of mind of what would I do, and how would I be, and maybe before I'm pushed into a fight or flight mode where my fears might be running the show, how would I want to be, and can I have the discipline to be like that and step up when inevitably my community's in need? Because it will be. I mean, it's just a matter of time. It feels like.
Well, it also is like our community is global.
Yeah.
And our community is in need.
Yeah.
And yeah, we need to hold the line as people of like that we have the power, and that regeneration and sustainability and our priorities, you know. And it's happening. It's going to happen.
Yeah, every new advancement we've made has been driven by the desire to be more interconnected globally. All the huge, humanity shifting advancements have just made us more interconnected globally, more aware of other people, more available to each other, and it's really cool. I think it'll keep heading in that direction. Of course, there's people using that stuff for nefarious means, but even the advancement of diplomacy, we are becoming a more peaceful people, believe it or not. Despite some of the stuff that's going on and some of the stuff that our war machine perpetuates, overall, we're less like the barbarians that we once were. That's an advancement. It's meant to bring us more together. It's showing us something. We don't want to blow each other up. I don't want our government making an excuse for us to blow people up across the world. I didn't sign up for that. I don't want to have anything to do with that. So I resist it in every way I can. And that's my way of like taking my little beak and dipping it in the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to switch over to the Patreon?
Sure.
This has been a blast. Our Patreon is still only $2 a month. It might not be for much longer, so get in there now. And that you can get on our Discord. You can see part 2 of all these episodes, which I think that's worth a lot more than $2 in itself. Part 2 of all of our podcasts. You could get in our Discord and meet the rest of the folks in the community. And we're doing these weekly film clubs. And this, like Cass said, this week's film is Her by Spike Jonze. And we also put out a weekly radio show called Church of Chill.
You've been on fire with that.
Thank you.
A lot.
Yeah, thank you.
A lot to enjoy.
Episode 210.
Great.
Thank you so much. Patreon.com/Church of Chill. We love y'all. Peace, love, and magic.
Bye, y'all.